Okay, 10 and start.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard Hill. You've probably seen me before. And this is the Brexpats in Spain webinar in association with Pellicer and Heredia, the lawyers in Alicante. Thank you for joining us and welcome. Today on our panel, we have Ignacio Pellicer and Pedro Heredia from Pellicer and Heredia, the lawyers who have supported Brexpats in Spain for the last 4 years. We have Andrew Brown from Currencies Direct, head of Eastern Spain, who again has supported and helped Brexpats in Spain for years. Tracy Storer, Chorus Financial, is in the same position, and these are all experts in their field. We have already received many questions, which we are going to go through. But the first point I want to make is that many of the questions that we already have in actually have no definite answer, which is, of course, why they keep being asked. The experts today will give you their opinion, and where they can, they will give you the facts that are available at the moment. We will try to answer the questions as much as we can, but as I said, some of them, there is simply no answer at this stage. I would say that here we are 4 years into this, and we now seemingly have more questions than we had before. Doesn't seem right somehow. Anyway, I'll just pass you quickly round to Ignacio first, who will introduce himself, and then on to Pedro, on to Andrew and Tracy, and then back to me. Ignacio, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. I'm very happy that the Let's Inform You group, together with Brexpat in Spain, we are continuously giving support. As you know, we've been doing this regular as the law firm, and we carry on doing so. So happy to try to give as much of our knowledge to all of you and share it with our people here. Okay, so thank you, Richard.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to answering your questions. I'm sure banking will come up quite considerably, as well as exchange rates. So happy to answer any questions as we go along.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Tracy, Senior Partner of Chorus Financial. Yeah, my area of expertise are everything to do with finance and pensions, loads of questions that are coming our way at the moment. So hopefully I'll be able to give you a little bit of logic behind some of the headlines that we're constantly seeing at the moment.
Okay, and hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, to be invited in order just to try to help and to give answers to all the situations right now we are receiving in the law firm regarding the Brexit and the transition period, and which is the legal scenario right now for the British which are living in Spain. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We will now look at the questions. I can see that I'm not highlighting. Let's start with the first thing, and this is a set of questions that have been going around now for well over a month. Question 1. There is considerable disquiet, and we have received multiple questions on the apparent current UK bank policy, which seems to be to close all accounts where people have no UK address. Is this true? And what do we do as some pensions, we are told, won't pay into a Spanish bank account after December the 31st. Is this also true? Now, what I'm going to do is ask Andrew from Currencies Direct to answer the first part of that. And then Tracy, if you will pick up on pensions, please. So, Andrew, over to you with reference to the banks closing accounts.
Thank you, Richard. I think it's really important to be clear that there is no blanket closure of accounts for all Brits living abroad. It depends on who you bank with, the type of account that you have. Essentially, for banks to apply for a new license in the event of a no deal, so this is only paramount if there is a no deal, will create a lot more administration for banks. Banks already have to do this for many non-EU countries. So clearly it is possible for banks to send money out of the UK if there is a no deal. Then it will depend on certain costs and what will the banks want to charge for that. But there are reports that seem to suggest that some banks are deciding that it's not worth the hassle of doing this for all 27 European countries separately, especially ones where they've only got a few clients within those particular countries. Regarding Spain itself, as a country, we have a large number of British people living in Spain, currently at least 360,000 that are officially registered. So I think there's a very, very good chance that some banks will decide that it's worth their while to negotiate a license within Spain should there be a no-deal Brexit. I know that maybe clients are hearing that banks are writing to clients at the moment, but this is not a blanket statement, and I would suggest that you check with your own bank directly regarding your own particular account.
Thanks ever so much, Andrew, for that. Tracy, can you give us your opinion on the business about the pensions, where people are being told that some won't pay into a Spanish bank account after December the 31st? Over to you, Tracy.
Yeah. So there's two areas to pensions that we need to consider if we have a no deal. First of all is payments being received and paying UK pension companies paying to European banks. So absolutely the rumours are that that won't happen and it won't continue after the 31st of December. There's no definitive answer. We don't know whether that might just be a teething problem and that the banks will overcome this. At the moment, they use a 𝐶EPA, which is a single European payment database where payments are made. And part of 𝐶EPA are the EU countries, but the 7 non-EU countries also part of that 𝐶EPA. So it might be that if a no deal agreement, if a no deal is on the table, then the UK may need to talk about joining 𝐶EPA as a non-EU member, and there will be different processes and different operational systems that they will have to follow. So it could quite clearly be a case of a teething problem in January or February where the individual banks have to change how they operate and how they send their payments via the 𝐶EPA system. And the second thing that we need to consider here is actually non-UK residents, how they can access their pensions. So I'm mainly talking here about defined contribution pensions. So this is things like Aviva, insurance-based pensions, personal pension plans. What we're seeing more and more of is that as a result of Brexit, if you are a non-UK resident, then your options when you come to actually take your pension are very limited. So again, I would suggest to anybody who has not yet taken their pension to contact their pension companies and explain to them that they live in Spain and how that might affect how they can access their pension when they come to retire.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for that. I hope that's clarified it for some people. I'm now going to go off-piste for this because I want to answer the questions, or try to answer questions that are live. The questions that I have in front of me have come in from the Brexpats in Spain website. These are live questions, so sorry about this, everybody. We are now going to run blind. I was sold health insurance that was Residencia compliant, but our solicitor tells us that if there are waiting periods, then it is not compliant. He tells us that the immigration office is very strict on this. How can a large health insurance company, it has been named, but I'm not going to, advertise something as compliant for Residencia, and then we're told it may not be? I think this is in your court, Ignacio.
Yes, Richard. Thank you, Fiona. Right, I'll try to explain here. I think Sanita will comply, to be honest with you, even though I don't know particularly well that company. The only thing and the key, what you need to do, I recommend you to do, is tell them that you need to have the policy exactly the same as the coverage for Social Security. It needs to have exactly the same. Now, I still don't know why they are giving you these like spaces or I don't know what you call it, waiting periods, but it is a situation where they should provide you that. Now, if they are not providing you an exactly policy to comply with Residencia, which is exactly the same that Social Security, then you could contact us and we could put you in touch with somebody who will, an insurance company that will comply, okay? But probably I think there might be some misunderstanding here because it should be straightforward. You shouldn't have any problem, okay? Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Ignacio. I'm going to answer this one myself. Nikki has asked, Valencia region seems to be very slow in processing online applications or responding to applications for TIE. Does anyone know why this is? No responses from applications made in early August. The simple answer is many people are applying and they are trying to cope with a number of appointments. It's going to get worse, in my opinion, before it gets better. Between now and December, this is likely to get quite difficult. So I'm sorry about that, Nikki. I can't offer you any comfort or any solution to that. Okay, going back on piece for the moment. Now, there are many internet banks available. Will these continue for UK people after Brexit? And will the Spanish government accept financial status proof from them? In fact, do they provide such proof? Andrew, I think this is yours.
Apologies there. Yeah. Again, it's going to be unclear at this moment in time what internet banks are going to be allowed to do in terms of their own licensing. So basically, to explain it in layman's terms, banks, whether they're internet-based or home or let's say landline-based, have to have a regulatory requirement. So if an internet bank has got that regulatory requirement within Europe, then everything will continue as normal. If it's, let's say, somebody first direct in the UK, they would need to have that European license within their group to be able to continue to operate. So again, Richard, it's going to need to be on a case bank by bank basis based on where they have their own individual licensing within Europe. So to explain that, Currencies Direct are a UK-based company, so we're regulated under the FCA, but we had to ourselves get regulated directly under the Bank of Spain as a Spanish entity to be able to continue to trade here. So it really does depend on the bank, internet-based or land-based, what license they've got individually. But yes, in principle, if the bank has got those regulatory requirements, everything will continue, even if there's a no deal, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Tracy, do you want to add anything to that from financial services?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what Andrew was saying, so it's all to do with passporting, which is a word that you may see popping up quite a lot. So this is where the Europeans centralised all of the framework, and your regulation was allowed to be passported into any EU country. That's what's going to be removed, the passporting. And for example, if you are a UK-based financial advisor, or if you offer any investment products and you're based in the UK, you will no longer be able to passport your regulation into Spain, France, or Germany, etc. So it would mean that as a financial advisor, for example, I would have to unpick the legislation of 30 different countries and then individually regulate with all of those countries, and it's just not going to happen. So we do think that as well as bank accounts, other consideration needs to be given. If you have a UK-based financial advisor, they will no longer be able to give you any advice. Also, UK investment products as well. You may have Hargreaves Lansdown product, ISAs with your bank. These are also going to be restricted to you come 2021. So yeah, the bank is everybody's main concern here, but there's also anything to do with financing and people passporting in their regulation. That's what's going to be cancelled if we have a no deal.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to go off-piste again. I've had another question in from Robert. As UK citizens, what happens if we do not apply for TIE before the end of the year? Can we apply as third country residents after 2020? What will be the differences? As a quick outline, and then I'm going to pass it round the panel. But yes, you can. And one of the major differences will be, instead of €9,000 per person, you're going to be into 26,000 per person as provable money. But it does depend if you are a resident before December the 31st. If you are a resident before December the 31st, you technically come under the withdrawal agreement, in which case it should, we are told, carry on as is for you. So we need to know whether you are going to be resident, i.e. living here before December the 31st, or if you're talking about coming in afterwards. Ignacio, I'll pass it around to you first on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Robert. Basically, probably your question is if there are going to be any differences. If you've got the option to do it now, I might recommend you to to discuss it with an independent lawyer about probably and do tax planning, because probably that's one of the things that you might be thinking, why not to do it? I mean, if somebody is resident already now, I wouldn't doubt to apply for it because it could only bring more benefits. Now, is it possible for you to do it afterwards? The answer is yes, you could do it afterwards. As Richard said, the requirements will be much more. One person will be 26,000 and husband and wife will be €500 per month extra. So you could end up having it's 2,100 per person, one person, and the husband and wife 500, the minimum. So the requirements and the documents you will end up probably having in case of no treaty here as a non-European will be more. Probably the timing. At the moment, you've got the Brexit desk in the Extranjería office. That will disappear. And obviously, you'll have to queue with the non-Europeans. It's really a very personal decision. I think having the residencia, if you could have it now, but you might be waiting to have it in January, I think you need to discuss it with your lawyer. The only affected issue will be the tax, probably. That's something important for you to discuss. But I normally highly recommend clients to use their rights and protect their rights under the withdrawal agreement. Okay, so over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Ignacio. We've got another question in from Sarah. Long one, this. Do you have any information or insights into the rejection of applications for first-time applicants for residency EX20 in the Alicante region? She says, I applied with all the correct paperwork and what my gestor had said would be sufficient financial resources. 3 months of payments of €1,000 into a Spanish bank account and a balance of over €9,000. She says her application was sent back with a request for UK bank statements and subsequently declined, stating a lack of sufficient financial resources. She says that she's hearing of other people whose applications are also being turned down by Alicante. She adds that this is a question about first-time applicants only, not people swapping over from residency to TIE. Now, Brexpats in Spain is running a service for people to get assistance with doing TIE, both changing over and getting new ones. And John, the person who does this with us, tells me that at the moment he has 3 appeals in on similar situations. So obviously there is an appeal procedure. Again, Ignacio, I've got to pass this one to you for any comments.
Okay. Well, actually, what I think, thank you, Sarah, for your question. What I think Sarah meant here is that she tried to provide proof of funds from the UK, and that now is not anymore acceptable. You need to have the money in the bank here in Spain, and probably Richard, I guess that's what happened here. If I could read the question, she didn't have enough money in the Spanish bank. So I don't know whether that could be the straight answer.
No,
so
she
said she has. Well, if you have the Spanish, let's put it this way. If you have per person more than 9,000 euros in the bank, and the average is minimum 9,000 euros, because that's really the key of the case, they need to accept it. Now, double check that you always, every day, had over 9,000 euros, and now they're applying for a certificate recently, which you should get from your bank saying you have an average minimum over 9,000 euros. I guess that's the only problem. If it was a mistake because they didn't work it out, it could be appeal, and it should be approved, and you need to take it to the court in Alicante. But you've got the option again to try to apply again. But I guess you're already dealing with a lawyer, and probably they could give you advice on that. But happy to give you a second opinion later on. Over to you, Richard.
Thank you, Ignacio. Sorry about this, everybody. I'm trying to get the questions in for quick answers. I'm going back on piece now. If I use my son's address in the UK, albeit I live in Spain, is this legal? And would there be any tax or official implications? Sorry, it's you again, Ignacio.
Well, I don't know whether later on Andrew and Tracy would like to add something. I wouldn't use an account because of all the tax implication. I mean, could you have a joint account with my mom or my dad? Yes, but bear in mind that with exchange of information, they're gonna think they're not gonna know whose owner of that money is. So I don't know if Andrew and Tracy would like to add something, but I wouldn't recommend at all to use somebody else's account because of the tax implications involved. Now, if you need to have it for any other reasons, I don't know if utility bills or something like that, that's a different issue, but not for having money or transferring your pension into your son's account.
I don't think that's actually what they're asking.
I'll come in here, Richard, if I may. I'll come in here. I would strongly advise people not to try and use family members' address to try and navigate their way around this banking system. If you're a resident, if you're a resident in Spain, you have to let the bank know that you're a resident for tax reasons, and then your address has to be in Spain. So I think I would strongly advise everybody not to just use a relative's or friend's address to try and say to the bank that I'm in the UK. It's just not the correct way to go around it.
In fact, I'll make a comment here. It's fraud. And all the risks that are associated with doing a fraudulent act are there. So I agree with you completely, Ignacio. It's a no-no. Sorry, Andrew, it's a no-no. Okay, moving on. I'm a swallow, currently spending up to 6 or 7 months in Spain and the balance in the UK. I think the key there is 6 or 7 months. Would I be better off getting residencia in Spain, and does it have any tax implication? This is again somebody who's looking to try and find a way around the system. Tracy, do you have any comments on that?
Well, you'll probably know the facts and the figures better than me, Richard, but obviously after Brexit, people's passport will be monitored, and how long and over what period of time you're allowed to stay in Spain will be monitored, and you'll have to stick to the rule. So naturally the 6 or 7 months, that will be wiped out completely. You will be monitored, and your passport will be monitored. And and then the second ruling is, you know, if you become a resident of Spain and spend more than 183 days here and your central interests are here, such as your main residency or your children may go to school here, you have to become resident and you have to pay fiscal resident and therefore declare your worldwide income here in Spain. And it is as simple as that. Whereas in the past, we've had a situation where a lot of people have lived here for many 15, 20 years and have never been a resident. Things are changing, and Brexit will ultimately wipe all of that out, and people will be monitored and you'll have to do everything by the book. So I always say to people, the first step is to go to a lawyer to get a tax calculation on your worldwide income. Then you have got the facts in front of you to make a decision whether you can afford to, or you want to become a resident here. And then if you do, you've got now until the end of December to get your residency in place and to declare your worldwide income as a Spanish resident and pay your taxes here.
Yeah, Richard, I would like to add here that, as Tracy said, it's very important in this case for them to seek independent legal and fiscal advice, because you will use a double taxation treaty. They say 6 or 7 months. It is key, as Tracy said, the center of interest is to understand whether it's in Spain or the UK, because if the center of interest is in the UK, even though you spend more than 6 months, you could still have a case. So there are, in some situations, you could even have a residencia, but the center of interest in the UK. So it's very important, these people who are right in the middle, to seek independent advice, to double check with the double taxation treaty, and to make sure everything complies with law, okay?
Brilliant, thank you, Ignacio. Sarah's come back to us again. If you are a Spanish resident but have homes in both the UK and Spain, presumably you can have your UK account registered to your UK address and your Spanish account registered to your Spanish address. Is that the case? Yes, is the answer.
The answer is yes. However, the banks have to do their compliance and know your client. Another flag that will be on everybody's account is their residential status. So even if you've got a UK address, the bank may still decide on a case-by-case basis to terminate that account, because it's where your residency is, not whether you own a home in the UK. But to answer the question succinctly, Sarah, yes, you could put your UK address onto that account because you do own a property in the UK, but your residency flag on your account would be as a Spanish resident.
Yeah, I'm going to add a little bit to that over something that we've been told over the last 2 or 3 years. The HMRC and the Spanish tax office are now sharing information completely. Which does mean to say that they will know where you are resident. It's as simple as that. There's no hiding from this now. Brexit has definitely closed a lot of the loopholes. Okay, I'm going to move on. Are there likely to be any changes in property purchase or restrictions after December the 31st, as the UK will not be a European country? That is yours, Ignacio.
No, the answer is no. It doesn't really matter at all what nationality you are and what residency status you have to buy a property in Spain. So the answer is you could carry on as normal, and you could buy any property now or later. Okay, Richard?
Yep, thank you for that. The next question is, I have been told by my gestor that I must change my existing permanent residencia to a TIE before December the 31st. Is this true? Now, I'm going to comment on this because this is something that is really annoying us at Brexpats in Spain. It is not true. There is no requirement for you to change to a TIE from your residencia. I'll repeat that. You do not have to change. There are many businesses and people that are running around and telling everybody that they've got to change. And all they're doing is trying to make money. And it really is appalling. There is no instruction, mandatory or otherwise, to change your residencia to a TIE? That takes us on to the next question. Is it worth changing to a TIE even if you don't have to? Well, I'm going to give a personal opinion on it, and then I'll pass it around the panel to get everybody's opinion. I've changed. My wife and I have changed to a TIE. And our reasons for changing are quite simple. Spain officially has said you don't have to, but they've also officially said that having a TIE will probably make it easier if crossing borders or with officialdom. It's also a far more durable, easy to carry card, which is also a complete identity card. To me, those are significant advantages. One of the things that I would say, and as a retired police officer who had to deal with the public, you get used to seeing documents. Now, if everybody or the majority of people are going to be showing a TIE card, and then suddenly somebody unfolds a very dog-eared, rather dodgy green sheet and says, this is the same as a TIE card, I have a feeling it could cause problems down the line. And as we get further away from December the 31st, my opinion is you're better off with a TIE card. I'll go quickly round the panel now. Tracy.
Or just unmute myself. Yeah, I basically think exactly the same as you. I think the fact that we should be all carrying our passport around with ID, and that scares the life out for me, carrying my passport in my handbag or my car all the time. So the fact that I can change that and just have the TIE card with me as official identification, that for me is where I'm at.
Thanks, Tracy. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I've started my application personally. And my personal reasons were having to fly in and out of the UK for business reasons. I didn't want to arrive at the airport and have that instance that Richard said by showing my residencia card. So on a personal basis, I felt that coming in and out of airports, it would be a smoother process to have the TIE card.
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrew. And now from the Spanish perspective and the legal one, Ignacio.
Right. Thank you, Richard. Well, I highly recommend everybody to have it for two reasons. One, Spain loves paperwork, as you all know. Spain is a bureaucratic country which always follow paperwork. And I know it's not compulsory and you don't have to, but at the end of the day, just swapping, it doesn't cost you much money, even if you want to do it yourself. It will only cost you probably 12 euros just to swap it. Even if you change your address, it's worth you do it. Okay. And eventually, I agree with Richard. In the long term, they will end up asking you your card and will have some benefits. Who knows if later on the ID cards will have the digital signature, as we all have on our ID. We have the digital signature. So it can only bring good to you, is protect your rights under the withdrawal agreement and then be above board. Now, again, it's up to everybody, Richard.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is a personal decision to make. There is absolutely no requirement, but you've asked the opinion of this panel, and we are all of the same opinion. It's a sensible thing to do. Fiona, I've got your question. I'll come on to it later, if I may, because it is covered in some of the questions we've already got. So moving on to the next question. What is happening with regards to the wrong wording on some of the TIE cards? I have one of them where it says family, not personal. I'll quickly give the first answer. We are assured from the British consulate, the British embassy, and the Spanish government that the card that you've been given, although that bottom line isn't right, is perfectly legal and you do not need to worry, but something will be done about it. Ignacio, do you know what's going to be done about it?
Well, I could only tell you what the police officers said on the Strong area. They say it doesn't change validity. They are aware about the printing typing mistake. You will get my recommendation for everybody who did apply. If they did apply for themselves, they will contact Extranjería to see when it's possible to replace it. If you did through your lawyer, you speak to them and ask them when will be the time. And that's what I would recommend, Richard. Just wait until they replace it and they tell you how to replace it. But it's nothing to worry with regards to legalities and protecting rights, okay?
Okay, thank you for that. Does anybody else wish to comment on that? Raise your hand if you do. No? Okay. This really follows on from the TIE question. Will other countries in the EU still accept residency instead of a TIE after December the 31st if I travel? The simple answer is yes, subject to the point that I raised about officialdom maybe not recognising the grubby green sheet of paper that you put in front of them. Number 6, what is the situation regarding the use of 𝐸𝐞 issued by the UK after December the 31st? Let's take that first. Who wants to answer that one? Ignacio?
Richard, that's more UK government. Probably you know more about the British Consulate, what they say.
Okay, I'll pick it up. You can't. After December the 31st, as it stands, the 𝐸𝐞 issued by the UK it won't be available in Europe. That's the answer. As it stands are the key words. We are told that it is still under discussion, but it won't be an 𝐸𝐞, it will be something. Now that question goes, yeah, go on, Tracy.
Sorry, I was just going to ask another question on the back of that, and that's for Spanish residents using...
It's here. Okay. Similarly, from another person, the opposite. The use of a Spanish 𝐸𝐞 in the UK after December the 31st. I am surprised about this. I will give you the answer that I've been given, albeit I don't quite see how. I am told that Spanish people with a Spanish 𝐸𝐞 will still be able to use them in the UK after December the 31st. I don't quite see how, but that's what we are told. Tracy, because you were going to ask the question.
I was just asking out of public interest. I haven't got any answers. No.
Well, that's what we are told. And I have to say, at the meeting we were at, which consisted of most of the significant groups in Spain, we all got our jaws dropped when we were told that. But that's what we are told. But we are also told all of this is subject to the discussions that are taking place. Okay, right. Moving on. If you have an existing medical condition such that private health insurance is not available or very expensive, what can I do to get residencia? Who wants to pick this one up?
Yeah, Richard, I will recommend them. Well, I know it's hard, but the only way to be into the system is if you're an employee. Okay, so I don't know if they will be in the age of getting even part-time work, and they will get social security cover on that. And then once you have a job, then you could apply for residencia because you're being covered by the social security. Another option you've got being self-employed as well. But again, you need to have the funds. And another option I give you is to try to shop around with different insurance companies. I know some of them will cover. It doesn't mean that it will be cheap, but it will cover. Okay.
Okay. Just to clarify the S1 situation here. If you are retired, you can get an S1, but you can only get the S1 if you've got the residencia to show that you live out here. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Because an S1 is a qualification for residencia, but you've got to prove that you live in Spain to get the S1.
Well, what do they prove? What do they ask to apply for an S1? Do they ask for padron or just a certificate, or do they apply? Because people have the S1 before they even get residencia, Richard.
Absolutely. And so, that S1, this is what I'm trying to clarify for people. If you are over retirement age, or of such disability that you can claim an S1. If you take the S1 in, that will give you your medical qualification for residencia, yes?
Yes, if you've got an S1, you're finished. You're fine. You cover everything.
So the question that's been asked here would be for somebody who can't get an S1 and is probably under retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
In which case your comment of getting a job out here and getting in that way is the way to do it. Yes, of course it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Right now, Fiona, this is where we come on to your question. This is the question we've had in. I have a UK driving licence and I am in the process of getting my residencia, but I haven't got an appointment yet. I have been told that to avoid a Spanish driving test, I have to change my licence over by December the 31st. I can't see how this will be possible in the timescale. So what will happen?
Well, the answer, I think here, Richard, now timing is crucial now for everybody. You know, everybody who didn't have the time, didn't do it, or they're just very tight now. The thing, if they have the residencia, whenever they've got, probably what they could try to make the application once they've got the letter for the approval. They don't even have to have the card. Okay, you know, now when you apply for residencia, you've got the letter from the immigration office saying you're being approved, and then later on you need to have your card. With that letter, if you make it before the 31st of December, I will give a try with that. That will be my choice, you know, that's because you're very tight. If by any reason you don't get the approval of your residencia before the 31st, then we just only need to wait whether they're going to reach any agreement, Spain or the UK, about that. Because the other option you have there is to start doing the test in Spain. I mean, I don't see Richard, because with driver license is finished on the 31st of December. So it's a big thing, Richard.
Yeah, it is a big thing, and it's going to be awkward. And to Fiona, I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, please come back to me and I'll ask any specific queries you've got. After December the 31st, can a British driving licence be used in Spain? Let's make that the first question. After December the 31st, can a British driving licence be used in Spain as a non-resident?
As a tourist, probably.
Yeah.
As a tourist, Richard. I think as a tourist, probably. I'm just don't know. The answer is I don't know. But as a tourist, like everybody else, when they come for 3 months, you can have your driving license or the international driving license. I don't know whether you can have the international license easily in the UK. I will always recommend to protect yourself to have it. But at the moment, Richard, I don't know whether it is a must, the international. I mean, okay. That's what I think, but I'm not sure.
At the last meeting we had with the British consulate and the embassy, we are told that you will need an IDP, an international driving permit, as well as your license. And at the moment, I would point out to people that there are 2 forms of the IDP. One is valid in France and one is valid in Spain. This is going to change, but at the moment, it's 2 separate ones. So if you plan to drive down from the UK through France into Spain, you will need 2 IDPs. That's as it stands at the moment. We are told this is still under discussion. Now we come to the second part of that question. Can a Spanish license be used in the UK as a non-resident? And I can tell you the answer is yes. End of story. Yes. And we are told that. Moving on. If I live permanently in Spain or have residencia, do I need to have a Spanish will? Let's deal with that first. If I live permanently in Spain or have residencia, do I need to have a Spanish will? And I think everybody should comment on this, but I'll pass it to Ignacio first.
Right. The straightforward answer is yes. I mean, the answer is if you have assets in Spain, whether you're a resident or non-resident, I highly recommend you to have a will in Spain to protect yourself and your last wishes. Not having a will can only make more difficult the probate process. And having a will doesn't make any difference here. I mean, is not related. Making a will, it doesn't mean that you need to make your tax. Okay, it's two different things. One thing is making a will, and you leave your instructions, how you want everything to go on, and the tax is something completely different. Okay, whether you're resident or non-resident. So that will be my answer, Richard.
Thank you, Ignacio. Tracy?
Nothing really more to add than what Ignacio's already said, other than just to understand that British law and Spanish law work very differently in terms of how you can leave your assets and to your beneficiaries. So my advice would always be to have your will written under British law, even though it's a Spanish will. So you will be able to utilise free disposal of any of your assets under British law. If you leave it under Spanish law, that is different. So the British law would always be my recommendation.
Brilliant, thank you for that. Andrew, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, just echoing what both panelists have said. I think if you want to make it very clear and for your dependents to have no issues whatsoever, you should obtain a Spanish will.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to go back to Richard, who had the problem with his residencia application being turned down. If I lose my residencia appeal, when can I reapply for residencia? Ignacio?
If you lose the appeal and there is no more ways to appeal, then you could start over again. Okay, so actually it will be worth it to discuss it with your lawyer. My recommendation, depending on the strategy to follow, see whether it makes sense making appeal, but the appeal will take a long time. If you think you could still submit it again, if there was any discrepancy on documents, I will try both ways. Try to appeal the decision on the resolution and try to apply for that again. But again, it needs to be discussed with proper documents and knowing all the facts, Richard.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Ignacio. And I hope that's helped, Richard. Now, going back to the wills, etc., a similar question, but this time from a swallow, not a derogatory term, by the way. If I spend considerable time in Spain, but also UK, and all my financial interests are in the UK, do I have to make a Spanish will? If I do, which will take precedence? Okay,
Richard, is answer question. Again, if you have assets in Spain, my recommendation is to draw up a will. Okay, you can have even international wills, but in your case, I will do one for Spain and one for the UK, because you said the center of interest and everything is in the UK. And then one limits the other one. The will that you have in Spain will be for Spanish assets and the other one for the UK. So that will be my straight answer, Richard.
Okay, thank you for that. And this one is for everybody, and I am going to make the point, please, everybody understand, you are now, this person is seeking an opinion, not a fact. So this will be experts' opinions. Bearing in mind the slowdown caused by COVID, does the panel think the Spanish government will extend the deadline for people to register, irrespective of the no extension stated by the British government? I'm going to go straight to Andrew first, I think, please, on this one. Andrew?
Opinion based, no, they will not extend it due to COVID.
This is Spain extended?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
They will not extend it.
Tracy?
I think that they probably will. I think that they want people to become legal. I think that they, of course, the money that expats bring to the country, the more that they can get into the system, the more people that become tax resident here, the better for the economy, and that is needed right now. And I think that all of the hiccups we've had and people not being able to get appointments because lack of resources that are available, I think that that they will extend it.
Okay, Ignacio?
I think Tracy is probably hoping that that works, and I wish it works like she says, but I agree with Andrew. I don't think Spain will be that flexible at this stage, unfortunately. I think they are pretty much square now on the way forward.
Okay, I'll now give my comment on it, and I am going to go straight down the middle on this. I think the answer is officially no, but they will find some way to do it quietly. I suspect there will be a fudge. That's my opinion, because I think everybody realises that what's attempting to happen at the moment is bordering on impossible. But I suspect they'll find a way to do it without doing it, if you understand what I mean. Okay, last question, and I've got some comments on this question. I want to change my residencia for a TIE, but I do not have access to a computer, just a phone. I can't print out the forms. Is there any way to get assistance? Now, I'll answer that from Brexpats in Spain first, if I may. We've set up an assistance service in the Valencia region, and we have people now who will print out the forms for you, take you to the extrañeros, and assist you in every way. And these are targeted for instances or cases where it is a fairly straightforward process. If it isn't a straightforward process, we have people on the team, like Ignacio, who will assist you if it's more complicated. Of course, the difference is cost. For the simple case that we do, the cost is very, very low. If you've got complications, you should seek the assistance of a lawyer, Ignacio, and he will assist you. The cost is different because the work is different. So that's the answer to your question. And if you like to contact me, I can put you in touch with our people who will give you every assistance possible. On that subject, we are also aware that there are many people coming over less prepared than they used to be. In other words, because of the timescale, no language skills in Spanish, don't know what the systems are, but are rushing to get out here before December the 31st. We are therefore setting up other services, and we are in the process of doing it. And next week, there will be another video on this. And these services include all the assistance services on applying first time for a TIE, changing over TIE, driving licenses, and anything official, and we will get you assistance. But we are also doing medical assistance. We have a system coming online where if you have to go to the doctor, the hospital, or whatever, we can get you a translator in while you're there virtually via your phone. Again, this works. We've tested it. It's fine. And you will be able to get the assistance with the language that you require. And finally, we're going to be running Spanish lessons online to assist new arrivals or those who have been here and maybe haven't taken advantage of learning Spanish, and we will offer Spanish lessons online. I think I'm going to pass it round now for any closing comments. If anybody wants to contact me, I'm at Brexpats in Spain. My name is Richard Hill. You can find me on the Brexpats in Spain Comunidad de Valencia region or the Brexpats in Spain main site, and I will assist you in any way that I can. So I'll now pass it round to the team. Tracy, for any final comments.
Well, thank you for everyone for attending today's session. I hope that you've had your questions answered. Again, Chorus Financial, you can find us on Facebook or our website, chorusfinancial.es. If you do want any more financial information or have any more questions, that's absolutely fine. My one last bit of advice is if you are in the process of becoming resident here, it is absolutely really important that you consider all of the tax implications, but also make use of any UK tax allowances. That's one thing that often goes overlooked. So if you are on that route to residency, ensure that your UK products, such as your investments, etc., are all looked into before you become resident to make sure that you utilise any UK allowances. And that will be my leaving piece of advice today.
Thank you, Tracy. Andrew?
Thanks everybody for attending today. I hope we've answered all the questions. From my side on currency exchange, there's no crystal ball with currency exchange. Are the rates going to go up, going to go down? But understanding the history of the markets can help you to make your decisions as we move forward. So if anybody does have currency requirements, please don't hesitate to contact us. And thank you for attending.
Thank you, Andrew. Ignacio, for any final quick comment?
Right. Well, basically, thank you, Brexpats. Thank you, Tracy and Andrew, for helping everybody here on the webinar. I'm very happy that we are so many years together trying to give advice. And I think, obviously, after the 31st of December, we'll be busy as well, because things will get a little bit more complex on this. Happy to listen to anybody if they have questions. I will just leave the website of all of us here now in the panel. And thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard, for taking the webinar today.
That's all right, Ignacio, and thank you all for attending. What I would say is Sarah came back and asked if she could make an application for residencia while her appeal was being heard. And if I've read correctly, the answer is yes. Is that right, Ignacio?
Yes, it is correct. And it is better for her to protect all the possible rights. So that will be my way forward. But she needs to discuss it with a lawyer or the gestor who's dealing with it, Richard.
No, I would certainly take legal advice on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, next week sometime, I'm not sure of the date and time yet, but there will be a webinar from Brexpats in Spain on the new services that we are offering. And in this case, Ignacio, I would like you to join us if you would. We will explain to you what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I hope you will find it helpful. I can tell you that the service for exchange of TIE, driving license, new TIE, is already running, and we have lots of people being assisted at the moment. And I do mean lots. The service is available to you. All you've got to do is PM me with your telephone number and email address and what you want to do. You can do that via Brexpats in Spain, and we will get the process rolling for you and get our team to contact you. Thank you, everybody, for all that you've done today. I think we've given a lot of answers to a lot of people, and this has been very valuable. Thank you again, and goodbye to one and all.
Goodbye.